I wanted first to introduce the people from 5 branches that are going to join us today. And maybe you guys can wave to them so they can attach the name to the person. So the first person is our president and CEO, Ron Zeidman. Ron, if you... Okay. And then we're having here Tom, my associate. Tom, hello. You said hi, I hope. And then we have together with us also a few alumni and current students. We have Dr. Shamas, Gigi. You can say hi. Well, maybe she could have if she was not muted. And then we have a few of our current students as well that are going to join us later on. So in general, what we're going to do here, we're going to have the president address you first for just a couple of minutes, and then we're going to get a virtual tour of the place, the facility, and following that will be our alumni Gigi that is going to talk to you about her journey after graduation, and current students who are, most of them are about to graduate, are going to tell you about their experience at 5 branches. And we're going to get a few minutes for questions and answers so that you can talk to those alumni and students, bring up your questions. So please write them on your chat so that Sean, who is monitoring it, will be able to collect them for you. And from there, we're going to move to financial aid information that is going to be presented by my associate, Tom. And lastly, we're going to again have more questions that we from the administration will be able to answer any questions that you have. Okay, so I'm turning the stage to our president and CEO, Ron Zeidman. The stage is yours. 2 minutes, please.
Okay, thank you, Eleanor. So welcome everyone to the world of traditional Chinese medicine. I'm going to give you a brief overview of what's happening with this medicine worldwide and here in the US. So 5 Branches University is a member of the World Federation of Chinese Medicine Societies. And we actually co-hosted their 10th conference here in Silicon Valley 3 years ago. 800 participants from all over the world, Brazil, South America, Spain, and so forth. Eleanor, you may wish to mute yourself.
Okay, sorry, I forgot.
So, and their presentations are very clear. They showed us graphs of what the profession is doing worldwide. It is growing worldwide. There's more practitioners worldwide, more clinics and hospitals offering this medicine, and more schools. So that is the trend worldwide. That same trend has happened here in the US, where we have more schools and more practitioners, and especially more presence in hospitals. So one is nearly every hospital will have an acupuncture department. Every cancer center will have an acupuncture department. Others even have Chinese medicine department. And significantly, our students can study in the residency program of hospitals in Oakland and Berkeley as residents with the Western medicine. So this is where the profession is going. That success is founded on a very good education in traditional Chinese medicine. And that is the commitment of the university. And that's why we focus a lot on having very good faculty. I only have very little time, so I'm going to show you this book, The Web That Has No Weaver. I'll just keep it there long enough. The Web That Has No Weaver. And if you're interested in this medicine, and even if you decide not to pursue this career, it's definitely a very good reading. And the last thing I would end with is the Bureau of Labor Statistics, which keeps track of all the professions in the US, have categorized acupuncture they call it with a bright future. And only those professions which are growing more than 20% a year get that label. So that is significant. The last thing I'll say with is the university is very committed to the new technologies for teaching and learning. And we've already 3 years ago started a distance education program. So as we move forward, we're going to blend the best of distance education with, of course, in-person contact in the education as we go forward. We are living at a difficult time. We definitely want new justices to happen here in the US. And one of those justices, it's not the agenda right now, is the justice of the broader availability of medicine to the American people. I'll be available during this meeting, and Eleanor will also forward you my email, where if you have any questions or would like information from the perspectives that I'm privileged to have, I'll be happy to share that. Thank you very much, Eleanor, and thank you all for being with us today.
Thank you, Ron, and thank you for keeping it for 2 minutes. And Ron has been, he's one of the founders of 5 branches. So he has a wealth of information. He also studied Chinese medicine, was the first class, and he was my classmate for the DOM program. So he went through the program himself. He chose not to practice, but to concentrate on the education aspect of things. And he is always, always happy to talk with prospective students. So we'll be hearing from him later on. But right now, what I would like to do is to have you join me with the virtual tour. Okay, so let's see here. Can we do that? Oops, no. Sorry, cancel. Okay. Okay. Okay, are you guys with me? Can you see that? I cannot hear what people are saying. I hope that everyone can see what I'm seeing on the screen. And the first thing, if you go out of the highway and you go down 7th Avenue, you will reach the ocean. But about 1 block from the ocean, if you look at your left, you're going to see this big, tall obelisk that I call it the Chi Pole. 5 Branches did not put it there. It was part of the building that is called Park Place. The building used to be a church, and then it was converted into business offices. I think it was called Twin Lake Church because we are next to Twin Lake Beach. And I actually had a patient that was baptized in this church. So this is what you see. This is where you're going to enter. Unfortunately, Google did not put the pictures in the order that will be convenient for me. So I'll have to go back and forth a little bit with you. So if you have here this Chi Pole here, and you come through here, you're going to go through the entrance of the school, and through this corridor, you'll get into the clinic. This is the front aspect of the clinic. We have a few other entrance and exit areas. So the next view, and I'm sorry that it's not as quick as I wanted it to be. So we're going through this corridor, and what you can see that directly when you actually enter through the door, you're going to see on your right-hand side, you'll see the administration, the reception, and behind you, the administration. And from there, again, you'll be able to go into the clinic waiting room and the clinic reception. From here, I'm going to take you directly to our herb room that you go through the clinic. There is a treatment room over here, and you see here the herb room. Within all these drawers, there are 450 different herbs, and you have those, I don't know how much you can see, but there are pictures of all these very famous herbalists and that are looking at you when you are learning all these herbs. Those 450 herbs are going to become your best friends, and you're going to do preparation of herbs for your patients. I don't know how many of you actually tried to get a loose herb tea or decoction, but there is a saying in Chinese that what is good for the body is never good for the mouth. So it doesn't always taste the best, especially if you have a lot of heat, like an inflammation or infection in your body. The herbs tend to be bitter. So if the patient does not want to have a decoction of the herbs and they prefer to take pills, then we have here a few cabinets where you, as you can see, we have what is called the patent medicine. So the patents are already prepared types of herbal prescriptions, and they come in various forms of tea pills and capsules and ointments and patches and syrups. And this is, if you think that your patient will have better compliance, then you give them this. But in truth, the ones that are within the drawers, the loose herbs, when you can create a formula for your patient that is tailored specifically for them, for their constitution and for their symptoms, it's much better than taking those herbs that are already prepared and made up. So from here, I'm going to take you to one of our treatment rooms. We have 18 different treatment rooms in the clinic, private treatment rooms. The equipment that is in the room, all the cups and the different sizes of needles and the different moxa and ear seeds and all these gloves, stethoscope, blood pressure cuff, all this is the same, but the core can be different. So we have 18 private treatment rooms. I'm going to take you now towards the library, if I can find the library, because there is a very special place there inside the library that hopefully if you'll come to 5 Branches, you're going to be there. So this is our library. It has 3,600 items in it. Through this room, there is, in this room, there is 3 desktops, and there is also a printer and a copier for the students. We have Wi-Fi, of course, within the clinic, the whole facility, but sometimes people like to use the desktop. And the special room is here, my office, where I'm sitting right now. I heard that it got the nickname of the interrogation room. And no, I'm not interrogating you, but I do ask a lot of questions. And those of you who joined us and already went through this process can testify. It's just that we want to make sure that all your questions are answered and that you're clear about your desire to join us and you know approximately what you're getting yourself into. Okay, let's go now into the Phoenix Classroom. And I want to show you the Phoenix Classroom just because actually the Phoenix Classroom is no longer used in its previous capacity. Let me just try and find it. Where is it? It's gone. I cannot find it at this moment. So, oh, where? No, this is just the corridor to it. Okay. Oh, here it is. Okay, so this is the Phoenix Classroom. And the reason I'm showing you this video was taken a couple of years ago before we had all our renovation. And so this is the Phoenix Classroom, but what we do today in this classroom, we transformed it into a more community style acupuncture clinical place where typically we have here tables of patients with Soji screens that are dividing it. 5 branches participated in a research pilot with the county of Santa Cruz, and they found out that Chinese medicine is so helpful for the patients that they decided that for Medi-Cal patients, they will pay twice a month to see an acupuncturist. And this is what we're actually doing in this room at this point. Sometimes, as you can see here, there is a little storage. We also use this room to transition it into community acupuncture. This type of clinical training is for our more advanced students. If they think of wanting to open a community style acupuncture, we want them to have the experience of how it is, how does it feel to do this style of acupuncture. So they do everything. They do the intake, they charge money from the patient, they sell them the herbs. So this is for more advanced students. And then let's go to, we have 5 treatment classrooms, and one of them, let's see here, actually 2 of them are united together. Let's see where we are now. I'm trying to find a classroom. I think that this might be it. Yes, so this is actually 2 classrooms. This is bamboo classroom, and there is this soundproof screen, and this is Lotus classroom. In this class, we kept the screen open, but we can close it and have 2 separate classes. So this is Lotus and Bamboo classroom, and you can see that the students here were on break. From what I've seen here, they were studying something that was related to Western medicine at that time. So from here you can go out into the student lounge, and I'm going to show you the student lounge if I just can find it quickly. Yes. So here is the student lounge, and this is a place for the students to just, you know, relax, eat, chat with their friends. Behind this here, you cannot see, there are some hot plates for the students, and you have a small little kitchenette. And this way you can go into part of the clinic and to enter the bamboo classroom, or you can enter the bamboo classroom from here. And this is another exit from the area of the student lounge. So I'm not going to show you more corridors and pictures of the area. I think that we're good with that, and I hope that you enjoyed the virtual tour. And now I will let Sean, perhaps, if you can maybe show them the area. What I need to do now is to disconnect. Oh, okay. So, okay. So, so now what I would like to do is to turn the mic to Dr. Shamus, Gigi, our graduate. And Gigi, just please share with the students a little bit about yourself and what you're doing and your journey. So the mic is yours, and I'm going
Thank
to
you so
mute.
much. I hope I've got a good audio. Can everybody hear me okay pretty much? Awesome, awesome. Well, I'm Dr. Gigi Shamus. I'm a licensed acupuncturist and a doctor of natural health. I graduated from 5 branches in 2008. So I did the master's program from 5 branches, and I went on to get a doctorate, which I will tell you right now, I wish I had gotten my doctorate also from 5 branches. So that's a story that we'll talk a little bit about, but in general, I wanted to tell you about life after graduation. It's been incredible. This is a challenging but very, very rewarding career. You probably already know that because you're already here at the info session. And the idea being that if you want to become an acupuncturist, I was always taught you should really go for what you truly want to do. And if what you want to do is help people, interact with them, and bring the medicine of ancient China into the modern world, there is no better way to do it, and no better university than 5 branches. So 5 branches helped me in terms of launching my career. I've been in private practice, wow, about a decade, and then I got hired a couple of years ago at Modern Acupuncture of Marin. Within about 4 months, I was their head of acupuncture. And I have gone from treating, 1 patient an hour, as many people do in private practice, all the way up to treating probably 40 a day in the sort of more group style setting. So I've had a lot of different experiences there. And Eleanor wanted me to mention a little bit about how I got started right after school. I'm very lucky. My dad is a medical doctor. So when I graduated from 5 branches, I was given the option. Do I want to go into private practice, try and get hired somewhere, or work with dad? All of those had options that were wonderful, but certainly working with my father was something I truly wanted to do. And I ended up doing that for the last, decade. And my dad is nearing retirement now. So I've moved into doing more, first my own private practice and then more getting hired, which has its own advantages, such as getting paid a salary, which is good, health insurance, which is good. But what I wanted to mention in all of that is that there are many different options for being hired, actually more and more. Modern Acupuncture is only about 3 years old as a company. So when I got out of school, it didn't exist. You could get hired at Kaiser or Sutter, but not too many other places. As of, well, right before the pandemic, Modern Acupuncture was the largest employer of acupuncturists in the country. So within a few years, you suddenly see a sea change in the landscape. It's wonderful to have options for getting hired. Many of you probably do want to have your own private practice, and you can certainly do a combination of both. The things that I found were most helpful in terms of doing my private practice was marketing myself through the Business Network International group. The things that I found were least helpful were paying money through cold calls. People would call me and they would say, I've got a great way for you to market your practice and I'm going to bring you so many patients, pay me $500. That's not a good plan. And I learned that quickly. So in your private practice as an acupuncturist, you have to be discerning. You have to figure out what's going to work the best for you. And you have to figure out who you want to work among. So which practitioners you'd like to collaborate with. And for myself, it was my father. It was also 2 nurse practitioners, 2 MDs, and an osteopath. I found that very helpful. So I kind of joined my dad's practice, which was a collaboration, and I was an independent contractor there. Things that 5 branches has to offer that are very unique in terms of acupuncture school, I would say You have the variety of the professors, so many different professors that you can actually remain close to. Of course, staying in contact with Ron and Eleanor has been. Sometimes we keep each other up to date on news in the acupuncture community, and you can get leads on jobs from there. And all of those things kind of come together to build the kind of life that you want. Usually as a private practitioner, you set your own schedule, which I know you're all pretty interested in. And getting hired, you can certainly impact your own schedule, and you can decide which places are most interesting to you. So mostly I wanted to talk about the aspects of life after graduation, but I'd be happy to, of course, take other questions that you might have. And I think that the marketing and management class that Five Branches offered us in our last year was one of the key factors in my success. Not everybody gets that. Actually, my dad, who went to medical school 40 years ago or more, he basically said they never offered a marketing class. They just assumed the docs would figure it out. And that's very difficult to do. So the marketing and management class that was taught by Marilyn Allen, who works for the AAC, the American Acupuncture Council, was pivotal. It was incredibly helpful. That class got me in the mindset of how to build my practice. And you can actually read her column in Acupuncture Today. Anyone can find it online. So the Acupuncture Today magazine is free, and I get it a hard copy because I'm a graduate, I believe, maybe because I'm a member of AAC. But every quarter, there's either the hard copy, and you can go online to Acupuncture Today magazine, and you can read the Marilyn Allen column, and she talks a lot about marketing your business, and she gave us so much information. In that one class, it really launched a lot of things. I'm making sure I'm not forgetting anything because I know my time's going to be up soon. I could talk about this all day. I just want you to know. So basically, one thing I did want to mention has to do with the fact that I chose to do a different type of doctorate. Even though I loved my master's, I was interested in maybe, should I do something in kind of almost like a naturopathy vein? And it turned out to not, shall we say, bear fruit. I would say that in general, the DAOM, which I actually was able to kind of get a bead on when it was first being formed years ago, the DAOM, the DTCM, the MTCM, which is what I got, but now there's a different degree. I think they're streamlining the degrees. But the idea of going to a well-established school like Five Branches, multi-decade track record, and that has been so good about staying on top, as Ron mentioned, so good about staying on top of all of the newest aspects of the legalities and the research and the, having your finger on the pulse of what we're all looking for in American medicine. It's so important because I ended up going to, long story short, a program that was not well versed in that and hadn't been around very long. And I don't feel that my doctorate served me in my practice all that well. And yet the people that I've spoken to that were my former classmates, they did their master's with me at Five Branches, and they went on to get their doctorate at Five Branches. They found it very useful. They found it an excellent boon when being hired, because you will be in that interrogation room. If you think Eleanor is tough, you should see what it's like to be, interviewing for jobs at Kaiser or Sutter, Modern Acupuncture, and all of those places. They want to know that you went to a school with a good track record, and that you know your acupuncture, and that you are that you really do have your finger on the pulse of what the ancient medicine is all about and what the modern world needs. So I would say that Five Branches has been an excellent resource for me, even after graduation. All these years, I often check in with other students, with the professors, with the staff. So that's my story about the getting your doctorate from elsewhere. And the last word that I wanted to kind of leave you with from my presentation actually has to do with the pandemic. And I said this a little bit in the video, but these are extraordinary and extraordinarily difficult times. Now is actually a really good time to be in grad school. It seems kind of it's interesting in a way because as practitioners, we're adjusting to a very different experience of practice right now. But yourselves, if you're interested in grad school, my understanding is it's never been a better time to get the degree that you wanted to get, to launch yourself in that foundation for when the pandemic is over. There will be millions of people more that want acupuncture. We already saw a huge uptick before the pandemic in people that were interested in modern acupuncture, interested in different types of acupuncture, whether boutique style, group style, hospital style acupuncture. In the last few years, it's been excellent. And so right now is actually a really good time to be getting your education, getting your foundation, whether the master's or the doctorate. In a few years, I'm very confident that the pandemic will be waning, or will have had, ways that we can kind of work around some of those difficulties of practice. And the idea that you could, in a few years, be out of school with this incredible degree that people will be clamoring to come see you, I think it's an excellent plan. So I just wanted to tell you, I do believe that that's the case, and I'm looking forward to hearing any questions you might have.
Eleanor, you need to unmute yourself.
Can you guys see me?
Okay, now I thought that I unmuted myself. Apparently I didn't. Okay, so thank you, Gigi, again for your presentation. I learned a few things as well. And what I would like to go over now is to have some of our students, and I actually want to start with Ashley, that she is now in Montana, she told me. Apparently she already graduated. And if I recall correctly, Ashley, you enrolled with us with the idea of just getting your master's doctorate in acupuncture only, and then you switched. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about yourself, what brought you to Chinese medicine, and why you decided to switch, and what are you doing these days?
Hi guys, I'm Ashley. I'll tell you all about that. So before going into TCM, I worked for the Bureau of Land Management here in Montana. And I just, figured out that was my path, and I wanted to go into something with health. And I was really interested in herbs. And that's kind of what brought me into Chinese medicine. I was getting acupuncture, and I wanted to learn more about making tinctures and that kind of thing. And so that's kind of how I got into it. And I just started researching schools and kind of trying to figure out where I wanted to go. I ultimately chose 5 branches because I just wanted a new experience. To be honest, I've never lived near the ocean, and I wanted that sort of experience. And I had also heard really good things about 5 branches while researching it. And let's see. I just recently graduated. It would have been April, very recently. And I'm just recently moved to Bozeman, Montana to be closer to family, and just this is where I want to be to practice. And I had actually, before graduating about in November, reached out to an acupuncturist here in Bozeman, and she went to 5 branches in Santa Cruz. So I reached out to her, just hearing about her from another professor. And when I came here to visit, I met with her, and she offered me a good deal to just be in her clinic, practicing under myself, running my own business. But she offered me a really good deal, and I just couldn't say no. So I came out here immediately right after I graduated, and right now I'm just studying for my licensing exams. I'm going to be taking one at the end of this month, and my future plans, to just be here in Bozeman. I'm going to be treating a lot of veterans. That's what she does mostly, and that's definitely a population that I want to help. And taking on other patients as well, absolutely. I really have an interest in sports medicine and herbs. And I guess with that being said, when I started out with Five Branches, I was part of the DTCM MTCM program, which is the dual program for traditional Chinese medicine. And I would say, after I finished pretty much everything for that program, all of the herbs and everything that I wanted to take, I switched back to the Doctor of Acupuncture and Master of Acupuncture, because I just know for myself that I won't be practicing in California. And I plan on taking all of the national exams, which allow me to practice pretty much anywhere else, including herbs, because it's a huge part of the medicine, and I highly recommend taking those classes. And my experience at Five Branches was great. I made some really lifelong friends there, and the school is honestly really like a family. And I loved my time there. All of the professors are great, and they really care about the medicine, and I learned from some of the best. And my advice to anyone who's going to be starting there is to just enjoy the ride, and yeah, it's going to be fun. So that's kind of my piece.
Eleanor, you need to unmute.
Trust me, I've unmuted this thing over and over. Apparently, it needs some encouragement. So, Ashley, thank you, and I wish you good luck with your testing, and I'm sure that you're going to do really well. I know you that to be a great student, so there is no doubt in my mind.
Thank you. That means a lot.
You're welcome, dear. The next people, and I see that the time we're running, we need to shorten the time. So maybe we have a few of our current students joining. So just condense a little bit your presentation, and we have taken some videos of them, so we can share it with you guys later on. So how about Dylan, maybe you can join us and let us know a little bit about your story. Dylan, are you with us?
I'm here. Yes, I am. Hello.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, my name is Dylan. I'm
Dylan, your head is cut a little bit.
Oh, I have to.
Okay.
Here, 1 second. Give me one moment to adjust my camera again.
So briefly, while Dylan is setting up, this is Ron, the president. So there have been some chats asking about the DAOM and the bridge program. And when this presentation is over, I'll be giving information on that. Thank you.
Okay, is that better? Yes? Okay. Okay, so my name is Dylan, and I'm in my last term at Five Branches. Before I was here at Five Branches, I was in another graduate school. I was studying chemistry. While I was there in chemistry class, I took a Tai Chi class with an acupuncturist. And one day he brought in the needles, asked if anybody wanted a treatment, an immune boosting treatment. I was really terrified of needles at the time, but I said I would do it anyways. And I realized during that like with a single needle that I'd never really felt my left arm, like in a way that it had activated. So I got very curious about acupuncture and continued to study Tai Chi with him. I studied with him for 3 years and then decided that I wanted to pursue acupuncture. So I was already in Santa Cruz. I didn't really want to go anywhere else because I wanted to continue to work with the teacher I was working with, and I wanted to continue all the relationships that I already had while I was here. So then I just came to Five Branches. Didn't really have a big decision process behind it. What else? It's been a good program. It's a lot. So now I'm like in my last term, right? So I'm getting ready for that board exam and the prospects of graduation, and it's very well prepared here in a very good environment. A lot of very good and interesting teachers, good community. Yeah, you get to know everyone very well. You get some very close friendships too, like Ash was saying.
What advice do you have for prospective students?
Study. Yeah, just keep going through it. That you only get showed so much information that you have to focus on for a board exam or for a particular examination, but the tradition is alive in a way that it had never really been alive in its history, because we're starting to get to a point where there's so much more translations that have been done than 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago. And so if you really open up your boundaries to learn about both the philosophical and historical roots to the medicine, you can really radically transform your perspective.
Gigi, when she gave her presentation, she was talking about one class that she had for business management that she felt that was helpful. I know that Gigi graduated a while ago, and in your program, you had a series of classes. Did you find them helpful?
Yeah, so it's a series of 3 classes now, more than just one class. I'm not sure exactly how many classes fall under that umbrella, but it's at least 3 classes that have that professional development title. And it's, yeah, full of more business information than I thought I would learn going into acupuncture school.
Okay, what
Including
are
like
your
drafting business plans and who to contact, how to contact, all the setups of starting up,
okay?
insurance, whatever. It's still processing for me, so I can't really give a huge overview of it.
So now you are at your last term, and your next step will be to take your board exam. Do you have any plans for the future?
I mean, I want to continue to work with who I was working with when I first came here.
Mhm.
So that's my primary plan to pursue.
Okay.
Just to develop those relationships and try to because you at least while I was there's a lot of electives that you could be taking, and so I took feng shui electives and I took all the qigong electives, so it would be nice to try to incorporate some of that as well and get all of those under one umbrella practice going.
Okay. Thank you very much,
Well, thank
Dylan.
you.
And I would like to invite your classmate, Amber Lee, to join us. Amber Lee, are you with us?
Yes, I'm
Hello.
here.
Hi.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you and we can see you. Hi, Amber Lee.
Hi,
So,
everyone.
how I haven't seen you for a few months.
I know.
So, so maybe you can share with us, and again, because the clock is ticking, condense a little bit your journey, how you came to study Chinese medicine, a little bit about your experience at Five Branches, and as you're going to graduate, if you have any plans, please share with us the people who are participating.
Okay, so I'll try to be brief. I grew up in Miami, and I was lucky enough to fall into having a Chinese medicine practitioner as my primary care provider, starting at about age 13. So I grew up exposed to a certain style of acupuncture, and this person also practiced an energy medicine that after I did an undergraduate degree in Maine, I learned the energy medicine that she practiced, and I started practicing that, and I moved to Northern California. And after doing all of the coursework within that modality, I realized that I just still was craving more information and more scope of practice in particular. So I wanted to be able to have more confidence with touch. So all the 5 branches that 5 branches offers. So it's got the massage and the acupuncture and the energetics and the moxibustion and the herbs. So I did look at schools on the East and West Coast, and I just really liked how I felt when I came to this campus. I felt supported by the administration during the application process. I felt like there was transparency about the questions that I asked. And it was, I mean, it's right by the ocean, which is just such an incredible opportunity to be able to be learning. It is a rigorous program, so to be able to be by the water and just take a few deep breaths and even go do some qigong that you just learned down by the beach is awesome. So yeah, it's been a really good experience. I'm also wrapping up my time. I'll be finished in August and preparing for the boards. And yeah, is there anything else you'd want me to focus on, Alima?
Did you work while you were going to school?
Yes, I did. I think I worked a little too much. Because I do have my own business with the energy medicine I practice, and then I took on an additional part-time job helping do some administration for a class in the other modality, and I did those both things for a year, and I just stepped away from the part-time job to be able to focus on finishing school with all of my attention, and that feels better. But so there's some balance to be found. But yeah, I did work.
Okay. Do you know about your friends? Did they work or not work? Do people, how much can they handle?
I think everyone I can think of right now has tried to find some balance between work and school. Some people are taking the program full-time and working, which is what I did. Other people are taking the program part-time and working, which is another option. So yeah, I think everyone kind of needs to find their own balance around what feels most, I guess, tenable, most viable, and what feels right for them.
Okay. Did you take any certificate program or just electives?
Just electives.
Okay, so you tried the different things that we offer.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you very much, Amberly, and we're going to move to Laura. Laura, are you with us?
Yeah, can you hear me and see me?
We can hear you. I cannot see you.
You cannot see me.
I cannot.
Gigi gave me a thumbs up.
Maybe other people can see you.
Ron gave me a thumbs up too.
Oh, okay, so only I cannot see you. Great. Okay. Okay, so Laura, again, as I told the other people and you heard, our time is running. So just to keep quick, I forgot my English. A quick introduction of yourself and where you stand and anything that you would like to share with prospective students.
Okay, so I'm just reading a comment. Okay, I started with actually Ashley, Dylan, and Amberly, so we're in the same cohort. Ashley sped up and graduated a semester before all of us, but the rest of us stayed on track pretty much to the program, which I think is kind of unique. I think a lot of people take a semester off, but we all stayed on track. I started in the fall of 2016, and I started by only taking 2 classes as a part-time student to kind of feel what it is like to be a student again, and to kind of get those gears going in my head and to see if I liked it. And then after one semester, I decided that I did like it, and I applied to become a full-time student. And now I'll be graduating in 3 months. I am bilingual Mandarin and English. And so if anyone wants to reach out to me to talk to me about that and my experience with that, my email address is layeh@5branches.edu. And I think one of the things that I really like about Five Branches is its diversity of faculty. I am more drawn towards the esoteric side of the medicine. What I learned after starting my education is that there are so many different ways to practice DCM. And the diversity of faculty has really shown me that and given me a taste of a little bit of everything. You know, like Ashley talked about sports medicine. Some people are really into the energetics, the Qigong. Some people are into the 5 elements. Some people, I think a lot of teachers here follow Kiko Matsumoto, I believe is her name. So there's that. And then some teachers follow Jeffrey Yuen. Some teachers, Master Tung. So the diversity is, I think, a really big strength of this school. The location of the school is also, I mean, it was a huge factor in me wanting to come to this school. To be in nature and to be in a holistic environment and to be in Santa Cruz because of the conversation, the progressive conversation just in the city around medicine, around vaccinations, around COVID, around, I mean, everyone here, it has a very progressive community. But also we have another campus in San Jose, and I did take some campuses in San Jose, and I found that really beneficial to my education because the San Jose campus and the Santa Cruz campus are different in that the San Jose campus has a lot more Chinese-speaking teachers from who were trained in China, and then and Taiwan, and they offer a different perspective. And for me to have, again, that diversity has been really important. And the student population is also very different. The student population, I mean, the San Jose campus has a Chinese-speaking Chinese medicine program. And I think at one point there was maybe a Korean speaking program. Yeah, so even the student body is very diverse. And so you get to not only see how it's diverse on many, many different levels, like more than I can explain in just a few minutes. And I found that very beneficial. Someone asked about clinics, and so from the very first week of my schooling, I was in a clinic and I was seeing a practitioner working with a patient. I was not doing any of the work, obviously, but I think that's also the strength of the program, is that you are in the clinic from the very first week of school to the very last week of school.
Thank you. So,
yeah.
so yes, so
if you have any questions, you can email me.
So you had the experience, because you're speaking Mandarin, to also be exposed to other classes, Chinese-speaking classes at the San Jose campus, and students can take classes at both campuses, as you mentioned. The only thing is that most of our students, they don't actually take leave of absence. It's not something that the majority of the students do. It's not something that we want to encourage people to do because it's a professional program, but people sometimes need, because of different needs for their own life, then they take part-time classes and they can extend their program up to a maximum of 6 years, which is not something that we would like to encourage. So the students are going to actually stay with us until the end, but I would like us, we were planning of first having the questions that you have for them directly. But I would like to move to my associate Tom to give you a brief introduction to financial aid. And he's going to talk primarily. Tom, you have, I'm sorry, but are you with us? Tom? I cannot see you. Tom? Hello? Hello, Tom?
So, Eleanor, we can see Tom, and Tom, you need to unmute yourself.
Okay, I don't know why I cannot see Tom.
You still can't hear Tom, so there you go, maybe.
Hello? Tom, are you there?
Tom is there. We can see him.
Okay, everyone except me again.
Yeah, but, well, because there's so many windows.
Okay.
But we can't hear him yet.
Okay. Meanwhile,
In case you can't hear us, you look unmuted. It's green rather than red, but somehow the sound is not coming through yet.
okay. There was a question about Taoist traditions that Ron, I mean, we're teaching TCM.
So, yeah, I mean,
you can answer.
Of course, the medicine is founded on three very strong foundations: Taoism, Buddhism, and Confucianism. And all of those fantastic ideas were brought into how can we create a medicine that helps. So from grandmothers knowing what herbs helped their grandchildren, they overlaid the models that Taoism, Buddhism, and Confucianism put. So inherent in the program is Taoism. As I think Laura was saying, our teachers come from different traditions. So some have studied with, I believe his name is Master Young from New York. Anyway, he's from a Taoist tradition. So certainly at the postgraduate level, or after you graduate, you go more in depth into that. What we present is more the general foundation that, as it's taught in China, without too much of an emphasis either on Buddhism, Taoism, or Confucian, but integrating all of those. But the answer would be that, yes, some of the teachers would have studied with Taoist tradition practitioners, and they would reflect that.
Okay, thank you, Ron. And Tom, we can see you now. Can we hear you?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I can hear you.
Okay, yeah,
Yes.
sorry about that. There was something not syncing up. Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us this afternoon. My name is Tom, and I'm going to just kind of share my screen here. I have a small PowerPoint to go over the basics of financial aid. We do have a financial aid director, Daryl, excuse me, who will be here to assist you as well if you have further questions. So let me just open up my presentation. All right, can everybody see my screen?
No.
It'll take a minute for it to kind of boot up.
I see it.
Okay, so there'll be a slight delay as I go through each of these, so just be aware of that. I'll try to slow down a bit. So this is just a basic presentation on your financial aid borrowing and repayment options. There is more information available online. Again, we do have a financial aid director that can assist you. And if there's anything I can help with, just reach out to me as well. So some basic good questions to start asking if you're not asking these are listed as below. So what are the current financial aid options available to you? You are entering a graduate level program, so what you may have been exposed to for your undergraduate coursework will shift a bit. It'll be slightly different as you go into the second level of education. And then the next question would be, what are the current student loan interest rates? These do fluctuate every year. We are coming upon a new interest rate here at the beginning of July. I'll go over that with you here shortly. But it's good to know kind of how that system works. It is based on the economy. So as the economy does better, these rates will go up a bit. As the economy kind of has some issues as it is now, rates usually go down a bit. Also, having a good idea what your repayment options are. It's foreseeable that in the near future, some of these repayment options will shift a bit. They'll change a bit. What that may be, we're not too sure. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's going to be anything drastically happening to what's currently available to students, but I would suspect that some of these will be consolidated a bit into new formats or new programs for students to move forward with. Also, loan forgiveness is a really big topic these days. It has been for many years. I don't foresee these options going away in completion, but knowing a good understanding of what they are and how they operate will also help you set up your current loan structures to maybe meet those needs as they get into effect when you actually graduate and put your loans into repayment. Another big question that a lot of students have is, how are our students at 5 branches utilizing the federal financial aid program? Roughly about 60 to 80% of students on average use federal student loans to pay for their education. It does fluctuate year by year and campus by campus. We have been seeing a little bit larger numbers of students trying not to rely on federal aid, but federal aid is usually available to all students if it is needed. We also have a large majority of our students working on a part-time basis. So this kind of presents another option to help minimize what you're taking out for financial aid. However, the program, as you've already heard from a few of our students, it is quite intense. So we highly recommend that we limit the amount of work that students get involved in to about 10 to 15 hours a week. I would say when you start hitting the 20 hours a week level, that's when you're going to maybe start seeing it impact your studies quite a bit. But each term can also be a little bit different with the particular educational load that you might be involved in. So some terms that might be easier and you can work more. Some terms, if you have review classes or if you're prepping for your board exams, you may need more time devoted to your studies. The school also has work study opportunities. So this is actually a program that's filtered through the financial aid program, through the Department of Education, that allows students to work on campus and therefore receive kind of pretty much funding from the school, from the Department of Education for that work. And what's super beneficial about that is you're on campus, you're actually in the setting that you'll be, normally operating in as a student. And it usually presents a little bit more of a flexible work schedule. So students can actually kind of attend to their studies, but also get some additional hours of work in, which can then decrease the amount of financial aid that they have to take out. So, 2 basic types of student loans. So here at 5 Branches University, we kind of have 2 main tiers of loans that students are involved in. Federal direct loans. That's kind of the loans that most students are looking at initially. That is further broken down into Stafford loans, which has a unsubsidized and subsidized version. Some of you that have been through undergraduate programs might have had some of your loans subsidized. That is no longer available at the graduate level program. That was done away with a few years ago during the Obama administration. So currently speaking, all Stafford loans are unsubsidized. And then any student that's needing additional funding would then look at Graduate Plus loans. These are still loans through the Federal Direct Loan Program, but it's only available for graduate students. And this program that you're coming into here is considered a graduate level program. There are also private student loans, which 5 Branches doesn't tap into that often. And these are just loans that you would find through your local bank down the street. So whatever bank that you're currently banking with probably has some form of a student loan program. So Wells Fargo, Chase, Bank of America, credit unions. These present another option. However, the organization of those private student loans are something that you want to really consider, because they don't have the same protection as the Federal Direct Loan Program does. So diving a little bit deeper into the Federal Direct Loan Program, this is a need-based program. So all U.S. citizens are eligible to get financial aid through their education. The interest rate is something to definitely consider here, and this is tied into the T-bill. And this percentage rate will fluctuate each year based on the health of the economy. It is not a variable rate. Once your loans are signed off on, once you go ahead and receive that funding, it is fixed until you possibly restructure those loans at a later date. The interest rate period runs from July 1st to June 30th. So we're currently kind of at the end of one period, going to be jumping into the next interest rate. The Department of Education has not listed their loan interest rates yet for graduate level programs. I believe information for undergraduate level programs is slowly kind of being released to the public. But at this point, it's kind of an estimate where we'll be at for graduate level education. There are various government sponsored repayment options. So this is kind of the bigger part of how you want to look at your loans is once you take and borrow money from the government, you then, once you graduate, need to repay that money. So currently there's a variety of options. A large percent of our students do utilize the income-based repayment structure. So that is listed out as ICR, IBR, pay, repay. There is talk with the current administration to simplify that and only offer one option. So there might be some consolidation of each of those programs into one future program. That seems likely to go forward. If by chance that doesn't happen and maybe at a later date that's also revisited, most likely any student that is in a current repayment option should be able to maintain that repayment option. So usually for student loan situations, individuals are granted whatever agreement that they've gone into, and then moving forward, those changes will go into effect. Another really big hot topic these days is PSLF, Public Service Loan Forgiveness. So there's a variety of loan forgiveness options out there. You can quickly do a Google search and find a complete list of that. That's becoming more available. But PSLF is kind of what I would consider the golden ticket, mostly due to the fact that this is tax-free forgiveness. This is not necessarily associated with just one or two repayment options. Usually this is in line with IBR, pay, and repay. And what happens is for IBR, for pay, for repay, there's actually a loan forgiveness clause within those repayment options. This loan forgiveness kind of opportunity is in addition to that. So you really want to kind of tease out some of the pros and cons of how these loan forgiveness options work. For some students, this is going to stretch out their loan payment schedule quite a bit, and that might not be the best option moving forward for them. So federal direct loans at 5 branches universities. So mostly we rely on the Stafford loans. And again, these are unsubsidized loans. The new interest rate is estimated to be at about 4.3%. And again, we don't know for sure. That should be released here in the coming weeks. And that's going to run from July 1st to June 30th of 2021. The old rate, or the rate that we're currently in right now, is 6.0% or 6.08%. So you can see that it's been about a 2% decrease. So this is actually a good time in terms of financial aid to actually take out loans. It's the lowest rate that we've seen in a while. For your Stafford loans, all repayment options are available. So you do get to choose how you go into repayment once you graduate and once you go through your grace period. So repay, pay, IBR, ICR. You can even go into a 10-year repayment option or a graduated 10-year payment option. Also for the federal Stafford loans, of course, deferment, economic forbearance, public service loan forgiveness eligibility, it's all kind of lined up with the Stafford loans. And again, your Stafford loans are available to all U.S. citizens. A second tier for any student that's needing additional funding to pay for their education would be our Grad Plus loans. This is open to graduate level students only. And here at 5 branches, you're automatically going to be a graduate level student. And the interest rate for this program also shifted quite a bit, about 2%. And the new rate is estimated to be at about 5.3%. And again, this will run from July 1st of 2020 to June 30th of 2021. All the same repayment options via federal laws are also eligible for your Grad Plus loans. also deferment, forbearance, and PSLF. So pretty much the only difference between your Stafford loans and your Graduate Plus loans is going to be offering you additional financing. So students that their budgetary needs aren't met with their Stafford loans can get additional financing via the Grad Plus loans, and you need to be a graduate level student. The Federal Direct Loan Program is a need-based program. Actually, I think I went in the wrong direction here. So let's go to the income-based repayment option. So this is something that the students have a lot of questions about, which is a really important topic. So there is actually an equation that goes into your repayment options when you go into your income-based evaluation. So what they're looking at is the total amount that was borrowed. And again, for some students that are borrowing a low amount, an income-based repayment plan is probably not the best approach. But at a certain level of loans, this becomes a more economical, more kind of forgiving way to actually work through your payments on a monthly basis. So the first kind of part of the equation is how much you've actually borrowed over the course of your studies. And of course, existing loans with undergraduate programs could also be thrown into that. And then consideration is given to your actual income. And here they're going to be looking at your AGI, your adjusted gross income. And this is going to be that main number that's usually at the front page of your tax form. And pretty much as your income rises, as your AGI number goes up a bit, your monthly payment via this equation will also go up. And if by chance your income gets lowered, right, your AGI will get lowered, and therefore your monthly payments will also get lowered. So what this is attempting to do is to actually put into consideration how much money you have left over on a monthly basis that you can put towards your repayment of your loans, your student loans. For some of these, for actually all the income-based repayment options, all but one, I believe, there's also a loan forgiveness kind of portion to that. So using one as an example, your PAYE, the remaining debt is going to be absolved at the end of 20 years. So you'll be making monthly payments based on the equation we just talked about. And whatever money is still remaining at the end of 20 years, well, then it'll be absolved via a loan forgiveness option in that repayment plan. Now, how this is different than PSLF is with your repayment, your income-based repayment options, what is forgiven is actually taxable income. So on your next tax form, the amount that was forgiven previously would be listed as additional income to your normal income, and that will be thrown into your tax equation for that year. So it's forgiveness, but there is a taxable forgiveness kind of situation playing out there. Your PSLF, your public service loan forgiveness, is an additional loan forgiveness option that would be possibly placed on top of your repayment option. So there is some confusion about that. Just make sure you're really looking at how those are structured and what's best for your current situation. Private student loans is another option. I would highly caution about utilizing private loans. It is usually something that's available to all students that are enrolled in a program. It's also heavily weighted to being more of a credit-based program. So they're going to look at your credit history, and your interest rates are often structured around your previous credit history and your current credit score. So they're going to scrutinize things a little bit more, way more than the Stafford loans. Your Grad Plus loans look a little bit about your credit history, but not nearly as much as the private loans. Also for your private student loans, there's a very limited number or sometimes no repayment options. It's that institution, it's that bank, it's that private institutions that's restructuring your repayment plan with them, and usually that's based on the 10-year repayment option. So IBR, pay, repay, all of your income-based plans are usually not part of that type of restructuring. Also, PSLF, your loan forgiveness options beyond your income-based repayment options, are not part of that option as all. Here at Five Branches University, we do our best to exhaust all other options before we go down the private student loan direction. Currently, I really don't know of any student that is actually utilizing private student loans. But again, it's still a possibility depending on a particular student's needs. Last but not least, here's Daryl Cullen's information. So if you do have more questions about student loans or specific questions about your particular needs, you can always reach out to me if you want, or you can also call Daryl at the San Jose campus or send him an email. And we'll have some resources sent to you here shortly to reestablish the contact information that's listed here. All right. And let me just go back to the main screen. Okay.
I see that there are questions of people about the Bridge program, and we're telling them that the Bridge program is for those who completed the degree previously back in the days and got their master's degree, and now they want to get the doctorate degree. And Tom is actually handling the majority of the admissions for the Bridge program, and you will be able to talk to him later on. Mm-hmm. There are a few also questions about the DAOM, which is the postdoctorate these days, or the postgraduate specialty type of degree. And for this, we can refer you to the appropriate department later on. But Tom, did you complete your presentation, or you have a few more things to say?
No, I'm all good. It's just a matter of answering any questions that might have popped up.
Okay. So what I would like to do now is to transfer the stage for you with any questions that you have. And one of the big question that I know that people have asked was about what is going to happen, how are we teaching today, and what do we plan on doing so for the fall and for the spring of 2020. And Ron, if you can please chime in and just respond to this question.
Okay, so when the pandemic started and there was a shelter-in-place order in California, 5 branches transferred all of their face-to-face classes online. And we were very fortunate to have a technical crew that facilitated that. So we got onto the new Google Classroom, Google Meet, and within 2 weeks, all the courses were online. That structure remained during the summer. So now all our courses remain online, where the teachers are teaching from home using these platforms that we set up, and the students are studying from home. The clinical training has 2 facets to it. One is that the faculty are talking about, since they're not in person with the patient, they're talking about case studies. So they take from their own experience and from the literature, case studies that highlight conditions of a patient and how they would be treated. Moving into the fall, because we don't know what Governor Newsom will ask. We don't know what the situation will be. So the way we're planning for that is 2 ways, and we're going to do both ways. So one is we are going to continue to offer all our courses online, so that if shelter in place remains, the students can continue to study from home and the faculty teach from home. So that will continue. In addition, if we will teach these classes hybrid, that means that the faculty will come on campus and the students will come on campus to teach and learn. So that is, if the shelter in place is lifted, and if our community, our broader community in Santa Cruz, plus our community of faculty and students, feel that it's safe to enter. So for the fall, the option will be very open. If you want to study from home, you'll be able to do that. If you want to come to class and shelter in place and safety, if shelter in place is not the case and safety is the case, then you'll be able to come to class and you'll have that choice. Many universities teach in this hybrid way, that if the student wants to stay at home, they can. So that's what we foresee for the fall. And then just for some information, some universities, the largest university in the US is the California state system. So they have announced that they're going to teach fully online. And other universities are already asking students to come in the fall. Of course, the undergraduate have different goals. They're not professional programs, you know, of being able to socialize. So to summarize, because we had experience teaching online for already 3 years, our bridge program, which I'll talk about in a moment, and Tom will also, has been taught fully online. So we had that experience, and that staff was able to transition it. That said, our faculty are going up a learning curve as we speak. Every week they're learning something new on how to use these platforms so that the classes and the teaching becomes more engaging and more interesting for the students.
Thank you, Ron. I have here, people are asking, should they postpone maybe entering until the spring, if the classes will be? And I would answer, and I don't know what you think, but I would answer not to postpone necessarily for the spring. I'm not answering this as an administrator, but actually I was asked the same question by my daughter. And usually people try to postpone because they want to work, save more money for the education. And in this case, what is going on today, it's not necessarily a time where you can make your 6-digit salary and put some money on the side and postponing your education. I also believe that this is actually a good time now to move into Santa Cruz, that is known to have sometimes challenges for incoming students to find proper housing, because a lot of the students from the UC, we have a University of California, Santa Cruz here, and they're probably going to be continuing with online delivery. So a lot of their students are staying at home and not coming, which this means that there is, you know, if you come and you move to Santa Cruz, you can negotiate with some of the landlords, you can get better terms when you move in. There are more houses available. In addition, we really don't know how long this pandemic will last, if there will be a second wave, a third wave. So if you know, my opinion, if you know that this is what you want to do, then go ahead and start your education. And we're probably going to do a little bit of changes in the manner that we deliver the program, so that when we are moving, when we will be allowed to move into interaction with people, then the more practical aspect of the medicine will be offered more at that time, and we will concentrate on you taking more the academic side of things at the beginning. Anything else you would like to add to that, Ron?
Yeah, just to repeat that point. So our courses are being redefined so that, for example, if you're learning acupuncture, that the acupuncture technique, which requires, you know, for you to be present, are going to be done during intensives rather than throughout the course. So that way, and they do that in China as well. They put all their clinical training at the end. We're not going to do that, but we will segregate it so that training that requires presence will be done during intensives, and they'll be done at a time when it's safe. And meanwhile, we can go forward with all the academic aspects.
Another question that I saw was about prerequisites and are things transferable. And so biology, chemistry, and physics are natural sciences that you can take before enrollment with us. You can take it concurrently with enrollment with us. You can take it at 5 branches if you're interested. And as long as you got a C grade letter, you passed the class, and it was not more than 5 years ago, then you will be able to transfer. We do have an exception for people that are practicing medicine, so this time limit is not relevant. And for those that did take it more than 5 years ago and passed it, they have some options of taking a challenge exam or repeating it for a discounted price at 5 branches if they wish. I see that we're almost an hour and a half into the presentation. Thank you so much for staying with us. We are still going to stay here for any questions that you guys may have, and I will let our Sean, is there any questions that people would like to ask us, whether it is for the students or financial aid?
So this is Ron. So I see one question about the future of teaching at 5 branches, whether it'll be all in person or all online. This pandemic has really affected education a lot, and in a very positive way, So we see our future very clearly, that there will be continued in-person teaching that is maybe not the highest level, but it's certainly a very preferred level among faculty and students. So that will always be the case as long as it's safe. And in addition, it's clear that the university is going to move with a very significant presence for online teaching. So many students move or live in San Jose or move to Santa Cruz, and many students in Arkansas, Nebraska, and so forth do not have schools in their vicinity. They would like to study this, and they would like to, if available at a high quality level, would like to study it from where they live and not have to go to a school. So the university will offer that, and that means that a student in the person-to-person program can choose to take one course or half the course from their home. Similar to what Laura does by going to the other campus. By the way, the other campus teaches in English and Chinese. So we have students who sometimes go to the other campus to take a certain class in English or Chinese.
I just yesterday spoke with a prospective student who is an MD from Connecticut. She's actually teaching at Yale, and this seemed for her a good opportunity to actually take classes online right now, and then to take some time off and come to do intensive for the clinical training. Because she lives in Connecticut and she still teaches. I have here a question I see about the application deadline. So we are still, the priority date is over. So May 1st is a priority date for the fall term. September 1st is for the spring term, and March 1st for the summer term. But after this priority deadline is over, we are still accepting application on a rolling basis until the class is full. So especially for those who are interested in the Santa Cruz campus, and if you need to move to the area, the idea is it's better to apply sooner rather than later, so that your application is processed and you know if you're accepted or not, and from there you can make your own decision. I see that there is another question about study abroad, and we do have study abroad in China, Taiwan, and Korea. Usually Taiwan is in the winter time, China and Vietnam, sorry, not Korea. We used to have Korea, now we have Vietnam instead, is done more in the summer. And unfortunately, this year we had to cancel. We were supposed to have two groups, one going to China and one going to Vietnam, and we had to cancel both. The students love it. This is not something that I usually recommend entering students to do. You want to know some of the program material, otherwise you see things and they just go above your head. So if you want to get the most of it, you should do it more at the middle of your program. So we still have these going on, and we expect them to continue. And then there was a question about 5 elements and 5 branches, and I think that people sometimes confuse between 5 branches, which indicates that we're teaching the 5 branches of Chinese medicine, namely acupuncture, herbal medicine, nutrition, energetics, and body work. These are the 5 and 5 elements, because we also teach it as electives. So 5-element acupuncture, it's a different, it took the 5-element theory of Chinese medicine and combined it together with European psychology module like Freudian and Jungian. So it's a little bit different, and we do teach these classes, and you also have clinical training for it. And for people who want to do that, they can take classes in it, but it's not the focus of 5 branches. 5 branches is a TCM-based school.
Eleanor, so early on there was a question about the bridge program and the postgraduate DAOM program.
Yeah.
So,
and we can answer that if there. So I just want to thank, if there are no more questions, not for the students who are still with us, or to our alumni, or any questions related to the master's the master and doctorate dual degree, the entry level for the profession. If there are no questions, additional questions, then I am so grateful for you being here and joining us and staying with us, even though it was more than the 15 minutes that we originally intended. I'm very grateful. And you can always email me directly with any questions that you have. I'll be happy to talk to you over the phone, to email you. Sometimes it's easier to talk on the phone than to type. I've been typing a lot these days. So my email address is very simple: admissions@5branches.edu. You need to spell the word 5 when you write 5 branches. And again, it's admissions, so admission in plural. So just let me know if there is any other questions. Otherwise, I will release the students, and Gigi, who is here, and we're just going to stay here with the administrators of the school. Admissions@5branches.edu. Let me spell it.
okay, so also for those who are interested in the dual degree program, so to know that the university offers 3 programs. So the one that is the topic of today's info session is the dual degree, the Doctor of Traditional Chinese Medicine together with the Master of Traditional Chinese Medicine, which is one program integrated with 2 degrees when you graduate. Then the other 2 programs that we have at the university, one is what we call the bridge program. It's a completion program. So many of our graduates who graduated, 5 years and earlier, graduated with a master's degree. And our present graduates are graduating with a doctorate degree. So they want to catch up from that master's degree to having this title of the doctorate degree. So there is a 315-hour fully online program that allows you study 6 hours a week, and after 1 year you have your doctorate title and the doctoral degree. And the email for that is admissions advisor. It's Tom, and he'll be here to answer any questions. if that's who you are. And we will be doing an info session just on that program. That's not what today's is. And then the third program that the university offers is what we call the postgraduate doctorate degree. And so that's for licensed acupuncturists who want to study, in this case, it's 1,280 hours of advanced study with a clinical emphasis. It includes, of course, research. And a lot of students do the entry-level doctorate and then go on to this postgraduate doctorate because of the higher, more specialized. It's really more specializations. And so quite a few students decide to continue their education. That said, the entry-level doctorate is enough to enter the profession successfully. That's the scope of this entry-level doctorate is very comprehensive. It's the same as what's taught in China, and it's what is used in countries like China and other countries in Asia to become a licensed acupuncturist and Chinese medicine doctor. But this postgraduate, especially if you want to teach at a university, if you want to publish, if you want to go into research, or if you simply want to enhance your practice rather than through CEUs, through a program of postgraduate courses. So that's in summary the other two. And we will be doing info sessions on both of those programs for licensed acupuncturists who are looking at this postgraduate study.
Okay, thank you, Ron. I'm seeing here there is a question about, I think this is geared towards you, Eleanor, to confirm the prerequisites, the anatomy and psychology prerequisites, if you want to go over that quickly.
So as I said, there is biology, chemistry, and physics that is encouraged to take before enrollment at 5 branches. I don't call them prerequisites per se because we also teach it at 5 branches. So if you didn't take them prior to enrollment, you can take them concurrently at 5 branches. So this is a possibility, but if you want, you can do it beforehand. Anatomy and physiology, we also teach at 5 branches, but if you want to take anatomy and physiology outside the 5 branches before enrollment, you are welcome to do that. And you do need to have general psychology or intro to psychology if you didn't already have it. And what I noticed is that sometimes people have a different type of psychology. And it really depends what they've taken. Sometimes, depending on what is taught, I need to see the transcript, and this tells me if they needed to take another course in psychology or not. So I can help them with this. The best is always, if you're not so sure, send me an unofficial transcript or a grade report, and I will evaluate your prior education, make sure that you're good to go or not. And just do me a favor, before you register to any class, just double check with me that these classes will transfer later on. It's important to do that because there are different people who are offering online courses these days, and not all online options are transferable. Okay? Any other questions?
Yes, so there's one from Chen, F. Chen, who asks, is there a hard limit of the number of students you accept each term? And then part 2, can one start from the winter and still be able to work with the curriculum, or will there be a disadvantage to taking classes before the prerequisites?
Okay. It really depends on you and your ability to sometimes juggle things. It does, if you have to take certain classes in addition to your curriculum, some people may find it hard. Some people are just, doing what they need to do. if you know that the sciences are really, really not something that you like and you think that it can be challenging for you, maybe taking them before you actually enroll can be a good thing for you to do. But I know that from what I've seen, a lot of our students take them concurrently, and they manage to do that. And yes, there is a hard number of how many people we can accept. Of course, when physically there is a physical limit of the space in the class, and we enroll students both in the fall and in the spring, usually 2 cohorts. Sometimes we have also a 3rd cohort that starts in the summer, but I've seen this happening more for the San Jose campus than for the Santa Cruz campus historically. But there are 2 cohorts, and usually from my experience, the spring cohort is a little bit smaller than the fall. I believe that this is because people are just used to start in September, so we get more applications to choose from for the fall than the spring. Any other questions? We will send you a follow-up email, A, to thank you, and B, so that you have a way to communicate with us if there were questions that were not answered, or if you want to put you in touch with a graduate, or if you missed the contact info of Laura, who suggested, offered her email, we will give you that information as well. Sean, do you zoom and see any other questions?
I'm not seeing any other questions for right now, and thank you everyone for sitting through the entirety of the.
Wow, it was a long one.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, students. Thank you, Gigi.